Persecution is often imagined as a single violent moment, sudden and decisive. History, however, records another kind of suffering, one that unfolds slowly through repetition, uncertainty, and exhaustion. Endurance, in such cases, is not measured by a final act, but by the ability to remain faithful over time. The life you are about to hear was shaped not by a brief confrontation, but by prolonged trial. It is the account of a man who endured pressure not once, but repeatedly, facing judgment after judgment without relief. His witness was formed through persistence rather than intensity. This story unfolds in an era when the Christian faith had no protection and little public sympathy. Survival depended not on strength, but on resilience. In such a world, faith was tested not only by violence, but by the weight of waiting. Clement was born in Ancyra, a city in Central Asia Minor, during a period when Christianity existed under constant uncertainty. Roman authority governed public life, religious practice was closely observed, and loyalty to the traditional cults was expected. Within this environment, adherence to the Christian faith carried social and legal risk, requiring discretion and resilience rather than public expression. In time, Clement was ordained Bishop of Ancyra, entrusted with guiding the Christian community through these trials. His pastoral role deepened the weight of his witness, for his endurance carried not only personal meaning, but responsibility for the flock he served. Historical sources indicate that Clement embraced the Christian faith at a young age. This commitment did not emerge from privilege or protection, but from deliberate conviction formed within a vulnerable minority. Instruction in the faith required care, memory, and discipline, as teaching was transmitted quietly through community rather than institutions. From the beginning, belief demanded vigilance rather than comfort. As Clement matured, his constancy became evident within the local Christian community. He did not seek leadership or recognition, yet his reliability earned trust. In a church sustained through mutual support, such consistency held real weight. Stability itself became a form of service, strengthening others whose faith was tested by fear and uncertainty. Clement's devotion was lived openly, but without display. He remained present within the ordinary rhythms of the city, neither withdrawing nor provoking attention. This balance required continual discernment. To remain visible carried danger, yet disappearance would weaken communal bonds. His faith was expressed through endurance within daily life rather than isolation. The pressures faced by Christians in Ancyra were unpredictable. Periods of tolerance could be followed abruptly by renewed enforcement. This instability shaped a climate of vigilance, where readiness mattered more than resistance. Clement's faith matured within this tension, forming a posture of preparedness rather than panic or defiance. When persecution intensified, Clement did not flee the city. His decision reflected neither recklessness nor desire for confrontation. Departure would have offered safety, but remaining affirmed responsibility toward the community that relied on shared presence. Faithfulness, in this context, required remaining visible despite growing danger. This choice marked the beginning of a prolonged trial rather than a single moment of crisis. Clement's witness would be tested repeatedly through arrest, release, and renewed accusation. Authority did not seek immediate execution, but endurance was targeted, aiming to exhaust resolve through repetition and delay. The nature of Clement's coming martyrdom was thus defined early. It would not be measured by a brief act of courage, but by sustained fidelity under pressure that refused resolution. What lay ahead demanded patience, memory, and unwavering commitment through uncertainty that stretched faith across time. Clement's arrest did not occur as a singular dramatic event, but as part of an escalating pattern of repression. Authorities sought not only to punish Christians, but to weaken their resolve through uncertainty. Detention was used as pressure rather than conclusion. Clement was taken into custody under accusations intended to force renunciation rather than provoke immediate execution. Interrogations followed a predictable structure. Officials demanded public conformity to traditional worship, framing compliance as a simple administrative act. Clement's refusal was met not with immediate violence, but with repeated questioning. The goal was endurance tested over time, exhausting resistance through persistence rather than spectacle. After initial confinement, Clement was released, only to be arrested again. This cycle created instability designed to erode certainty. Each release carried false relief, each return renewed pressure. The absence of resolution became its own form of punishment, stretching fear and expectation across days and months. During these periods, Clement remained under observation. His movements were limited, his associations scrutinized, and his presence within the Christian community monitored closely. Surveillance reinforced isolation, discouraging others while maintaining constant threat. Faithfulness now required vigilance under watchful authority. Physical suffering accompanied confinement, but it was not always extreme. The strategy relied less on immediate brutality and more on attrition. Hunger, discomfort, and uncertainty accumulated gradually. Endurance was tested not by a single blow, but by sustained deprivation and repeated confrontation with authority. Clement's responses remained consistent. He neither provoked officials nor softened his position. His resistance was not verbal defiance, but refusal to comply. This restraint denied persecutors the satisfaction of confrontation while preserving integrity. Silence became a form of stability within interrogation. Each cycle of arrest reinforced the seriousness of his commitment. What began as suspicion evolved into determination by authorities to break endurance. Clement's continued presence exposed the limits of pressure when conviction is rooted not in emotion, but in memory and discipline. This prolonged persecution transformed martyrdom into a process rather than an event. Clement's faith was now measured across time, shaped by repetition, delay, and unresolved threat. What lay ahead would deepen this pattern, extending trial beyond expectation and into sustained suffering. As Clement's refusal persisted, the methods used against him intensified. Authorities shifted from psychological pressure to physical coercion, introducing punishment meant to produce fear and submission. Torture was applied not to conclude the process, but to accelerate surrender. Pain became a tool intended to fracture endurance rather than to end life immediately. These punishments were carried out publicly or semi-publicly, reinforcing their function as warning. Clement's suffering was meant to discourage others from similar resistance. The body became the site of pressure, yet the objective remained internal collapse. Survival itself was not mercy, but an extension of trial. Despite repeated torture, Clement did not renounce his faith. His endurance was not fueled by dramatic expression or visible defiance. He neither taunted his judges nor attempted to frame suffering as victory. Persistence emerged through restraint, a refusal to allow pain to dictate allegiance or meaning. Between punishments, Clement was returned to confinement. Recovery was partial and uncertain, yet the cycle resumed. This repetition stretched suffering across time, denying relief or closure. Martyrdom unfolded as an extended condition rather than a singular climax, testing memory, resolve, and physical survival simultaneously. Reports of his endurance circulated among local Christians. His suffering, though intended to intimidate, instead strengthened resolve. Witness expanded not through proclamation, but through observation. The sight of sustained faith under repeated assault reshaped fear into solidarity within a persecuted community. Authorities responded by increasing severity. Each escalation signaled frustration rather than control. The inability to break Clement's resolve revealed limits within the machinery of repression. Power could inflict pain, but it could not force interior consent. This imbalance became increasingly visible. Clement's persistence reframed the meaning of martyrdom. Faithfulness was no longer defined by a single decisive moment, but by survival through repetition. Endurance itself became testimony, exposing the inadequacy of force when confronted with disciplined conviction sustained over time. As suffering continued, Clement's witness extended beyond his own body. What began as personal trial became communal strengthening. His endurance carried meaning not through speech, but through duration, shaping a legacy defined by perseverance rather than spectacle. Clement's prolonged suffering eventually reached its conclusion through execution. His death did not come as a dramatic climax, but as the final step in a process that had already consumed years. The authorities' objective was achieved only in form. They ended his life, but not the witness shaped through sustained endurance under pressure. Unlike sudden martyrdoms, Clement's death was received within a community already formed by his persistence. His execution confirmed what had long been evident, that faith could not be exhausted through repetition. What violence failed to accomplish over time, it could not resolve through finality. The memory of Clement's endurance spread steadily among Christians. His witness was not preserved through legend, but through recollection of duration. He was remembered as one who remained faithful, not in a single hour, but across years of unresolved suffering. This memory carried unusual weight. Within the Church, Clement came to represent a distinct form of martyrdom. His life demonstrated that persecution often seeks to break faith through delay and uncertainty rather than immediate destruction. Endurance, therefore, became a defining measure of fidelity. The Orthodox tradition preserved Clement's memory not as an isolated hero, but as a figure shaped by communal struggle. His witness strengthened others who faced similar pressures, offering a model of patience when relief seemed endlessly postponed. As centuries passed, St. Clement of Ancyra remained venerated as a martyr whose sanctity was formed through persistence. His life affirmed that faithfulness is not always expressed through decisive moments, but through the willingness to remain steady when resolution is withheld. His story continues to challenge simplified images of suffering. Martyrdom is not always swift or visible. Sometimes it unfolds slowly, demanding memory, discipline, and refusal to surrender interior allegiance despite prolonged pressure. Clement's life embodies this hidden endurance. In remembering Saint Clement, the Church recalls not only his death, but the long faithfulness that preceded it. His witness endures as a reminder that perseverance, sustained across time, can carry greater weight than any single act of courage. If this documentary helped you reflect on endurance, patience, and faith tested through repetition, consider subscribing to the channel. Here, we continue to explore the lives of Orthodox saints whose witness was formed not by spectacle, but by steadfast perseverance across history.